We're in a really interesting time with AI right now. We've been doing what we call assistive AI, which is really helping you tell your story. And now generative AI is a whole thing. And it's more about ideating and getting what's in your mind onto the screen. And so storytelling is at the intersection of both of those when it comes to video editing tools. And that's sort of the stage where we are today. And I'm joined by two really incredible creators that you probably already know. Will Carmack, VFX artist.
Hello.
Yay! And Lila, also known as Lila from YouTube.
Hi.
Lila is more of a video editor, so we've got VFX and we've got video editing. So it's a really interesting kind of blend of disciplines up here to talk about. So let's just dive right in. How are you all using AI today? Will, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I use AI in a lot of my animations. I'm sure a lot of you might know the YouTuber Johnny Harris. He's a great video journalist, and he'll hire me to make animations and B-roll for his videos. And so a lot of the times he's sending me photos that are like 150 years old, or like documents and like not PDFs, just like scanned things that are from museums that are so low quality. And my job is to then turn these like 2D assets into like 3D high quality B-roll for his channel. And so one of the things that I'm using a lot are like the Topaz AI softwares where you can upscale documents in videos. And so when Johnny Harris sends me like a video clip from the 20s, I'm gonna upscale it to 8K in like Topaz video. So it's then completely usable. So that's one tool that I'm using with AI.
Nice, nice. And Lila, I know that you're a big Premiere Pro user.
Yes, what gave it away?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so the funny thing is when it comes to using AI in my video editing process, I needed a second to think about it because it's never like, oh, I'm going to use this AI powered tool right now to edit my videos. But one of my favorite AI tools that I use in every single video is the remix tool, because that just blows my mind. And if you don't know what the remix tool is, you gotta use it in your videos. Basically, you get any song and you enable the remix tool and you can make a song as long or as short as you want, which is incredible for my kind of work. I make mostly like video editing tutorials or tutorials on how to light yourself. So for that, it's just instead of having to like find the right beat, cut the video, and then like put it all together, you can just use the remix tool. So that one just blew my mind, and it blows my mind every time that I use it.
Yeah, Remix is a hidden gem. You can find it in the toolbar. Just hold down on the Ripple edit tool, and there it is. You're like, oh my gosh. And not that I don't feel like a god when I edit music down just perfectly and I get it right in the subframe.
Of course.
But why? Why waste the time if I don't have to? Will, you also mentioned when we were talking before, you do some storyboarding in ChatGPT. Is that right?
Yeah, I was recently doing the motion graphics for Michelle Carre's recent YouTube video, and the way they gave me like the reference material they would want me to animate is they used ChatGPT, and they would generate basically the vibe or the like storyboard in which they would want me to then animate. And so a lot of my clients are using ChatGPT to give me reference material to then turn into like a professional like graphic.
Yeah. And you're heavily in After Effects, another favorite. So you're using the AI-powered Roto Brush a lot too, I'm sure.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know this, but the Roto Brush tool in After Effects is actually an AI-assisted tool. That's how it's finding the edges every single frame. And so a lot of people don't even realize they've been using an AI tool for a long time.
Yeah, and we updated it about this time last year a lot, and I was astounded. I was able to just kind of draw lines, and then it found the outlines and rotoed it, and I'm like, oh man, I've wasted so much of my life. That's okay. Yeah. It's all for good. So let's talk more about how you've specifically used any AI tools or techniques that you found useful. For Lila, it sounds like you are all about the integration of AI tools,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it's just simply making my life as an editor so much easier because there's so many tedious tasks that we have, like whether it's like cutting down our A-roll and you do 1,000,000 takes of every sentence, you know, or whether it is, and I want to see actually a show of hands. How many of you really take time editing your audio? That's actually pretty good. I don't. And one of the tools that I really like is the enhanced speech tool in Premiere Pro. And that's another integration. Like if you don't have a fancy microphone or you're just using your phone or whatever, you could just see it in the video as well. You can just turn on enhanced speech and it will make it sound expensive and professional, even though you have no idea what you're doing, which is amazing. So yeah, long story short, I just use everything and I integrate it all and everything just looks great. And you don't need to know that much about it.
I love the descriptor that it makes it sound expensive. That's
It
what
does
we need.
though.
Yeah, it really does. And it's also great because it's like it can be a starting point if you do want to go deeper, or it's like, okay, ship it. It's good. Will, you have some examples for how you've used AI, right?
Actually, I'll talk about it in a second. But the first video that I sent you guys back there, if you'll pull that up, either one works really. But one of my favorite ways to use AI, especially when I'm using After Effects all the time, is combining like the stuff that I can generate in Adobe Firefly and then bring it into After Effects. So a recent video that I made, I really wanted the background to have like a lighthouse and 2 mountains in the background because the horizon line was just this ocean. So I wanted the scene to feel like really cool, but traditionally people are just generating these in photos. So like if you want to replace the background of a photo, you'll like add in a lighthouse or a mountain in that. But what's really cool about the combination between Photoshop and After Effects right now is I can export a frame from the video I'm working on in After Effects, and in Photoshop I can generate these set pieces, and what Photoshop AI is going to do is like blend it perfectly into the background of this frame. So if I cut those pieces out in Photoshop and then track them into my After Effects scene, I'm doing a complete like background removal and I'm adding set extensions. So, and you can add it to a moving video by 3D tracking these videos. So you can essentially use Adobe like generative AI to completely change the background of a video, and I don't think a lot of people are. Yeah, let's see if this loads. And you don't have to play the audio if
Times
that's
cooler
possible.
with Adobe Firefly's new image model. This is the next generation of
the effect will show
Photoshop's
up in a
generative
moment.
AI. Whoa. And with way more
Could you turn the
control
audio
over
off?
text-to-image prompts, you can perfectly integrate.
And so you'll see here, all of these pieces I actually generated in Photoshop, and then I'm 3D tracking them back into the video. So look at that, that's insane. Like I created an entire video with generative AI in Photoshop.
That is amazing. And it's actually, it's not, this looks expensive, but it's not that difficult to do it, right?
No, I mean like, 2 of the easiest things you can do is cutting something out in Photoshop and 3D tracking something in After Effects. Like, 3D tracking in After Effects is literally 1 button. You just click it and it 3D tracks, and you can select where in your video you would want to place any of these objects.
Really cool. Yeah, we introduced generative fill into Photoshop about a year and a half ago. So if you haven't played around with it, you can literally just extend a frame or draw and prompt or remove things in Photoshop, and people have found really interesting ways to link that into video. And it's really cool to see, like, you're only limited by your imagination now, right? Did you have another example that you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, there's one more video. So this one is basically like I took my iPhone and I put it on a C-stand pointing straight down, and what I'm doing is I'm expanding the iPhone clip to essentially be drone footage. And so a lot of the videos I make, especially on my Instagram, I'll want to be able to have like a really big zoom out. And so what I'm doing is I'm just like repeatedly using the crop tool in Photoshop AI and expanding the background. And if you your files will get huge. Like you could quickly end up with like a 12,000 by 30,000 size image. So I'm actually just doing this like in portions and then stacking them on top of each other in After Effects. And then you can zoom out. And I've actually seen a lot of people use this effect after I released this video. So you can create your own drone footage with Photoshop AI, which is so crazy.
That's really cool. Lila, have you played around with generative video yet?
Yes, I actually made a video about how to use generative AI in Photoshop for your video. So if you don't really have an interesting setup or just a very simple setup, maybe you're filming your videos, I don't know, like at your kitchen table, but you still want it to look good. Besides lighting, you can actually use generative fill to, I don't know, like add some things to your walls, add a plant, and just make your video look so much more interesting and, again, expensive looking without any of it needing to be there. So that is another way to use it for video.
Yeah, that's great if you aren't comfortable or aren't familiar with 3D tracking. If you just have a talking head where you're doing product reviews, unboxing, and it's not moving, you can easily just put some flower arrangements and all kinds of weird stuff
Yeah,
back there.
exactly. Literally what I did was I just screenshotted one of my frames, and then you add all the things to it, you bring it back to Premiere, you mask yourself out, so make sure that you've got, like, if you move around a lot, mask yourself out a bit more so you don't disappear like halfway in the video, because that's a bit awkward. But yeah, it can look really real and really good.
Yeah, I saw that video and I didn't realize it was a set until I watched the whole thing. I'm like, oh, wow. It was very convincing. So this is a very rosy picture of AI. We've done some really cool stuff with Firefly and other AI tools, but where are we seeing the limitations of AI right now? Where are you hitting the wall and wishing for more? Lila?
I think when it comes to video editing, right now I just see it more as my video editing assistant. Like, it helps me cut down time to like spend the rest of the time being more creative and have that like brain space to be more creative. But I do think that in terms of like emotional intelligence, it's quite limited right now. So it can do the tedious tasks, but I think that there's still quite a bit to do for myself. And it's not like I want to give up video editing because I love it, but I definitely think AI is limited in that way. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Like, we have that extra spark that, you know, can't happen in an algorithm necessarily.
Yeah, not right now, and I hope never.
Right now.
Probably never.
Check back tomorrow. But you?
I don't have too many. I do kind of think that the Photoshop generative AI, I wish it could like be super high resolution. Like, you can only really get so close to the pieces. Like, if I track those like mountains in the background, if you zoomed like pretty close, it's not going to be as sharp as the rest of the video, which is a good tell. But I don't expect many people to be like zooming into the background. And so you can get away with a lot. And also, this is like outside of just Adobe, but a lot of these AI tools are these monthly subscriptions, which is awful. I like wish they were like some of the like really good AI tools and stuff, they're like now like charging monthly for, and I wish it was maybe more accessible, especially if they're going to be using like data from people, etc.
Yeah, and of course Adobe doesn't train on any of your data, but the quality aspect can be really challenging because, you know, we're at a point right now where we have to use cloud computing in order to process. We don't have enough local computing to actually create any of this generative stuff. All of the AI in Premiere Pro and After Effects right now is all in the computer on the device, but then generative is like, there aren't enough processors that can fit in your in your laptop. So it's like that kind of weird place right now where, you know, we've got to think about using other services, and it can be really challenging and a limitation for a lot of people that are just not comfortable with that. You also had a really interesting analogy about how AI is like making cookies.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess like a common misconception of people who are concerned about AI is it's going to like completely replace some people's jobs. But like, for example, I think I said the AI is just like the sugar when you still need like flour and eggs and whatnot. Because, for example, all those videos you showed that I've made, you could probably tell that a lot went into that outside of how I used AI. And I think my strong suit is like storytelling, pacing, sound design. All of those things together is what makes a really good video. The AI that I'm using in these are very much just like an aesthetic tool that's going to help me like make my vision come to life. But without my vision, like the AI and all this stuff is like meaningless. So I still think there's an incredible human aspect that makes all this stuff really fun. And to me, AI is just like a tool. And if you know how to use it well, it's just going to elevate your videos. It's not going to like take away any opportunities from people. Because like you can't just tell AI, make this video. Even if you see those like really crazy AI videos where it's like something's morphing into a bunch of different cool locations and people, that's a really hard thing to do with AI. It's like you have to know the prompts, how to blend all those AI things together. So there's no way, at least right now, where AI is completely replacing like a videographer or a photographer and stuff like that. And I think we need to give people more credit. I think we can clock super easily when something's just an AI image or an AI video, and I don't think we like connect with that the way we would like any normal person. So I think the power is really with people knowing how to use AI as like an aesthetic tool.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to think about yesterday's keynote. AI is, that's the whole sentence. Like, and you look at what's in Premiere Pro today, AI has been in it for a long time, and we're now, it's encroaching into other aspects of creativity, and it's really about how you blend all that together to create something, right? Has your perspective shifted on this, or have you always kind of felt this way about the use of AI in your creative process?
I mean, I personally have always felt the same. I've never really been worried or threatened by AI. Like I just said, I feel like it's more of my editing assistant. I hope that it's going to evolve to like my right hand, but I don't see it. It's just, there's something about like authenticity, like you just mentioned as well, that AI just cannot generate. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what we can do because it literally just helps us create. And I think it lowers the barrier for a lot of people who either don't really know how to edit well or don't want to edit well, or if you're a professional and you've got all of these projects that you need to do, you now have so much more time to just either spend privately or do more work. So I'm just excited to see where it's gonna go, and I'm not really threatened or worried at all.
Actually, I feel like the only people who would be worried are storyboard artists. I feel like they're screwed.
All right, storyboard artist. His name is Will Carmack, if you want to come hunt him down afterward. I think it's really about the evolution. It's like there are things that need to be done 10 years ago I don't need to do now. I used to, capture from tape. Things change. And somehow other things fill my day still. So I think that's sort of where I see it too. So using AI in your work, how do you think, does it impact how audiences may perceive it? Do you think that people should have to disclose when they're using AI?
Well, there's been this feature, I'm sure a lot of people here have probably seen it. You'll get a little tag on an Instagram post that says made with AI, even if you've just done something as simple as like use AI generative fill to remove like a tree or like a rock in the background. And so when I see that, it like makes me feel weird when I see like a post that says made with AI, even though it's like, I can probably tell that the entire image, well, what it does, it makes me question the entire image, even though if someone is just removed a small thing. So I feel like I definitely, if I know something was made just with AI, like my spidey senses go off. But I feel like you can tell when AI is used in a really original and creative way. I don't think the way I've used AI is very like the videos I've made with AI are for like Adobe talking about the AI features. So I think people like watch what I've made around like the AI stuff and they don't think too much of it except that it's like a cool demonstration of how to use it in an original way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, when it comes to video, I don't think people really have an opinion on it because it's just helpful tools. It's not like you're altering like the whole video or you're just manipulating the whole thing. You're using the AI tools that we talked about to make your video better and to make your life easier. When it comes to photo, I feel similarly when I see the made with AI, and I also don't like it when my photos say made with AI because it just seems like I've manipulated the image in a way that I haven't, and maybe other people have not altered the photo in a way that you might feel just because you see that label. But yeah, no, I personally, what I've noticed in my comment section and whatever, when it comes to video, people are stoked. And when it comes to photo, as long as it's like just a little removal or whatever, it's fine, right. Yeah.
Like, should you have to tell people you use morph cut or, auto color? Like,
no.
And it's kind of a personal thing too. Like, it depends on the kind of content you're creating and the medium and stuff, of course. But from Adobe's perspective, we co-founded the Content Authenticity Initiative, which is a coalition of, all kinds of organizations. There's over 2,000, I think now, that want to raise awareness and transparency in the use of AI, and one way is through content credentials. So you can add content credentials to AI images or video, which is now supported in Premiere Pro Beta and Media Encoder. You have the option to, if you do alter it with AI, you can put that on for transparency, and it doesn't say just blanket, this is, AI powered. It will say specifically what it was. And it's really also important for documentary and news organizations to be able to trace, like, who created this, how has it changed, and at what point, because it's just nice to have that information available. So you can find out about that on content.authenticity.org if you're interested. I know that the AI labels, the organizations are fixing that as well, to not make it so if you alter one pixel with AI, it's like, made with AI. I saw a picture my friend posted with her son, and it had the AI image made with AI, and she was like, which of us is made with AI? I made this kid. It's authentic. So yeah, a lot of learnings all around there. We're at a really interesting stage.
I do think at the end of the day, if we're talking about like ethics, if you are altering an image or video to a certain extent that you could and should say it was made with AI, and don't lie about that, because it's fine to use AI too, right? Like, it's great. We've talked about it the whole time. I think that transparency and authenticity is the most important. So if you do really generate something with AI, just say it. Don't pretend that it's not.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So what do you think is the best way for people to start using more AI tools or get closer to what's happening? Because things are changing fast when it comes to generative AI and then a lot of assistive AI. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but the Remix tool has been in Premiere Pro for like 5 years. So there's a lot of stuff and it's hard to keep up.
And every time I make a video, like a tips video, and I include the Remix tool, there are so many people that don't know about this tool every single time.
Yeah, it's just really hard to keep up with change. So how do you keep up with all of that?
That's actually tough. I learned about the auto-generated captions in Adobe Premiere like last month, and I like hit my head on the table because I was so mad that I had been doing like manual captions for so long. And so I actually I don't know how you would discover like the brand new AI tools. I did after that. I went to Adobe's website, and they have a splash page that says every effect in all the Adobe softwares that are like AI powered, and it's like a ton. Like, it's a lot. Like the scene edit detection, auto reframe, those are all things I learned about last month. So maybe like check the Adobe website.
and probably talk to friends about their use. Yeah. And I don't know, social media.
Yeah, and just YouTube. Like, there's a lot of creators covering AI tools, and honestly, like, I don't know all of the AI tools that are out there. I think what is nice about Premiere, every time you update it, it'll show you all the new things. So if you just take like a second to go through the new features or new effects, what they have, then you can keep up with it that way. But honestly, I think it's really hard to keep up with everything.
Yeah, I listen to podcasts, and then I try to talk to a lot of people and hope for the best. We're going to move into questions in a moment, but while we get organized there, where can people find you online?
Will Carmack on all my platforms. If you want to see the coolest animations in the world, you'll follow me on Instagram.
Ooh.
You can find me everywhere at Lila from YouTube. So that's Lila from YouTube.
Awesome. All right. Can we do some audience questions? I think we're going to have people line up down the middle.
Yes, can we please have people line up down the center here? I am going to ask that you keep your questions brief. I will take the mic from you if you go long.
She'll do it, you guys.
I will. I'll yank it.
We did have one question asked on the app. What is the biggest misconception about AI for content creation?
Do you have one for that?
I'm trying to find, I don't know. I mean, the biggest one I don't know, but maybe that I think the word AI is very intimidating for a lot of people. But like I said before, when I got asked the question, like, what AI tools do you use? I wasn't really sure. I needed a second to be like, oh, what do I actually use? And it turns out if you use Premiere Pro, you're probably using AI tools without knowing it. So I think that might be not maybe the biggest one, but I think it's just like intimidating.
Yeah, actually, I'll second that. I think AI, when you think about AI, the vibe is like it's all generative, but there's a lot of AI things that are just like helping roto brush find the lines of an image. Like AI is not all generative.
Right. Yeah. Very good. All right. First
Thank you, guys.
question.
Great panel. So I wanted to ask, I'm interested in knowing a little bit more about the workflow for storyboarding with ChatGPT that you mentioned. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And another really quick one, what kind of computer do you use? Can you do a breakdown of your computer to be able to handle an After Effects 30,000 pixel file?
Yeah. So they're using ChatGPT. They're basically typing in a prompt. Because, so in the paid ChatGPT feature, you can generate images. And for example, the animation that they wanted me to make for the Michelle Khare thing, the video was about like a nuclear crisis in the situation that the US president would have to respond to that situation. So they typed in like glowing red, like missile map. It was something just like that. And it like came up with these like glowing red lines like flying across the like United States. And like, so it's as simple as just typing in like a really vague prompt about like the vibe. And then for my PC, my friend helped me build it. I have a 3090, yeah, it's a beast computer. My friend, who is significantly smarter than me, helped me build it. I know it's got like the max RAM amount or whatever that is. Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry.
Thank you so much for your talk. I didn't get the whole thing, but my question is, I used to work for Adobe, and it's so overwhelming. I think that Adobe Express is under promoted. Like, Adobe Express has saved my life. It's like the Adobe's version of Canva. But what kind of tips do you have, or what suggestions do you have to get over that overwhelm? When I open Adobe, I don't know, by show of hands, how many of us here open Adobe products and feel overwhelmed? My question is, how do you get over the overwhelm? Thank you for keeping me in check. How do you get over the overwhelm of using Premiere, something like Premiere?
Thank you for the shout out on Express. They're in our booth as well if you want to hang with them. Yeah, how do you deal with the overwhelm?
I like just stick to basically 3, like Photoshop, Premiere, and After Effects. They say pick the ones that have your favorite color and then just like pick those. But to me, I watch so many editing tutorials like every day. Like it's some of my favorite content. Like even if I'm not ready to learn, I'll just like watch like an After Effects tutorial just to see if like he's doing anything that I don't know. Like just like, and so I would just like spend a day learning one software on like YouTube, and you'll be able to figure out pretty quickly if it's something you want to keep pursuing.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm completely self-taught, and when I learned Premiere Pro, I just honestly learned by doing, and I totally get that it's very overwhelming, which is, and this is going to sound like a plug, but I've made a few videos like Premiere Pro in 15 minutes, and it's like no BS, just like, cool, import your video, put it on a timeline, here's how to cut it, here's how to do this, here's how to do that, and it's that way, it's super easy. Keep it basic. And I get that it's overwhelming, but you're gonna get the hang of it. And again, like there's so many tutorials out there. And if you have any specific question, there's like the top menu of Premiere Pro. You can use the help option, type in your question or whatever you're looking for, and it will show you where it is in Premiere Pro. So that's a great option as well.
And I will add, earlier this year we launched adobevideotraining.com to help with that as well. There's a really great multi-hour training introduction to Premiere Pro from Valentina V, and a lot of other trainings. And also, if you're using Premiere Pro, take advantage of the different workspaces to help you focus on just one technique at a time. So it's not like the whole thing. We're working on helping people, acclimate to the UI too. So. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up, David.
Thank you. Thanks for the chat. I've solved all of my questions except one at this conference, and I hope it's an easy one, and that's thumbnail production automation. So not the ideation, but yeah, I want something to analyze the video, pull out the best faces, and I just speed that part of it up, just the production.
Microphone.
Sorry, could you repeat the question, or could you say it?
Thumbnail automation. So being able to pull thumbnails, the best thumbnails out of a video automatically, analyzing the faces. Is there any tool or technique that you use for creating thumbnails rapidly like that?
I currently don't. I make all my thumbnails in After Effects.
Yeah, I don't use any tools for that either. I just use it. I usually just use Photoshop for that, but no automated processes.
Well,
Yeah, I don't. Sorry, go ahead.
Actually, I was going to say, like, maybe Photoshop is the best one. I mean, the generative AI in there is pretty incredible. So you'll be able to, like, generate, like, make your thumbnails, like, pop, like, 10 times better if you run them through, like, through the AI in Photoshop.
And I would recommend, if you haven't, stop by our Adobe booth and talk to the Express team, because making thumbnails is a workflow that they're working on, and it'd be great to hear your feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Midjourney, by the way, Midjourney would be the website where you would want to generate thumbnails. Midjourney, yeah. Yep.
My interest in AI is more focused on workflow automation. It's about half my video production time is just making an assembly cut.
Sorry, can you speak closer? Sorry.
My interest in AI is workflow automation, and about half of our labor hours are creating just an assembly cut. So is there some tool that I can dump all my footage into a folder and then have it train on my previous videos of how to make an assembly cut with using this footage?
There's, I don't know if this is exactly what you mean, but there's this tool changed my life. It's called Autopod. Basically what it does is it takes your footage, let's say you recorded like an hour-long interview, it will auto-detect where all the audio waves start to go up, and will cut all the everything in between. So like you can automate like that workflow really well. Like I'll film an editing YouTube tutorial and like drop it in, link it to like my screen record, and I'll just click on Autopod, and it will basically make my entire video for me because it's cutting to every single like waveform. So like you can automate like an entire like speaking part just by using Autopod, and it will get rid of all the dead air. So that's a tool that I would recommend for that. Do you have any?
I'll say I don't have anything to share right now, but maybe we can chat
Wink, wink.
another time.
Hey, I use Photoshop Generative Fill to make thumbnails like really fun. I use it like crazy. Tech YouTuber. I feel like I'm at the mercy of what it's been trained on though, right? Like sometimes I have a specific product I need to integrate into the content. Is there any like workflow? Like if I need an iPhone like in a certain place or something, I have to revert back to traditional Photoshop work to try to figure out how to do it because it hasn't been trained on, other companies' products.
So are you talking about using, being able to kind of direct the outcome of the generative content?
Like include like context, like you guys can put iPhones in Photoshop, right? But I'm able to bring in photos and manipulate it. Is there a way to integrate like the content I bring in with generative fill?
Well, there's actually a reference feature now in Adobe AI. I don't know if you've tried that out. Then I will say there's been like moments where I'm in the Firefly AI and I've typed in like a trillion different versions of the same word or phrase to try and get it to generate something, and sometimes it just won't. So I do think it's got like some limitations, especially if you have something really niche. Like I find Photoshop AI is the best when you're doing something more broad, like a mountain. Like it can generate the coolest mountains in the world, but maybe like a robotic arm, not that well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and since Firefly is designed to be commercially safe, if you've got anything that's like very technical and commercial in there, it just won't generate it. Like we've tried to generate Spider-Man, and it's IP that it's never seen. So it's like, here's a man that's a spider, and it's just nightmare fuel. So, yeah.
So yesterday, a guy named Tom Bellier gave a speech, showed us a video about an AI called Hillbilly Harry Potter. How do you combat that as a creator? Because if you watch it, it's unbelievable. He just put in a few prompts, whole video is created, borderline movie. So how do you combat that and still stay a creator when that's now in 2 years, be light years better?
Did you hear that?
I didn't hear it.
Basically, did you see the Hillbilly Harry Potter, the fully generative?
I've not.
Basically, when you have a video where you're creating something from scratch using just prompts and generative video, and you can create something that looks very cinematic without any other tools, how do you combat that as a creator who has bespoke tools and your own skills? How do you face that world where everything's just can be generated like that?
While I'm sure that I've never seen it, I'm sure that video is incredibly cool. I don't think humans, like people, like I had mentioned earlier, like are super thrilled about like a completely AI video. So like I think it's going to be easy to combat because people will always want to gravitate towards like the human element. Like I remember, this is a super random example, but Marvel released this show, Secret Invasion, and it came out that they used AI to make the intro credits, and everyone was like, how dare they? And so I think it's going to be easy to combat that because I think the general vibe is anything that's 100% AI, like I don't think people like it that much. Or they don't like, they see the artistic value in the human more, at least in my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally second that. I think people connect to people, and although it's really cool, I think, yeah, I don't know.
There's always the unexpected spark that humans bring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if everything is AI generated and everything is going to be the videos that you're talking about, I don't think people are going to be connecting to that. It's cool, but it's not it.
Yeah.
And that's also why I think like when it comes to like brands generating these AI people, right, to be brand ambassadors or whatever, I think it's lacking that human element that you also just spoke about. So
Yeah. Awesome. Great question to end on. It is an existential question that we are all just thinking about every day, but
Need to see
I'm
that
very
video,
hopeful
though.
and you're all very positive. So give us a hand for
One
Will
more
and
time.
Lila.
Woo!
Amazing panel. Thank you, everyone.
I hope you like that.
thank you.
And please visit us at the Adobe booth downstairs. We'd love to meet you.